and go shopping or just enjoy the library or some of the public facilities. And as far as making it accessible, yeah, I think that's a big concern. One thing the city's done is we've worked with Lynx, and there are now more bus shelters out there. As far as funding it, Lynx gets around half the gas tax the city collects. I support that notion. I think that's good. As far as Sunrail, I supported Sunrail. I think that Sunrail won't help Cimarron Boulevard in the near future, but I do think it's an important step to help in transportation. And I don't think you can really look at transportation and say, just what about this area, what about that area? I think you got to look at the whole area, and I think everybody deserves good public transportation, and that's what I'm committed to do.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer.
Thank you for that question. I think the most pressing issue in Central Florida is good accessible transportation, public transportation. We've had great success in so many different areas, but I agree with the premise of your question that the Lynx system is inadequate to serve basically 1,200,000 people just in Orange County, let alone adding Osceola and Seminole County into that. Sunrail is a huge step forward to change the mindset of people about using public transportation and mass transportation, but we got to have a good bus system to feed Sunrail if it's going to be successful. In downtown, we're expanding the limo system east and west from Paramore to Thornton Park and north and south so that you can get off at either of those two stations and get just about anywhere in the downtown area. I have been a supporter of a dedicated funding source for the Lynx system. And several years ago, we persuaded the legislature to pass a rental car surcharge that we would have used to fund, we have negotiated with the county, but put additional funding in for Lynx. I was supportive of using 100% of that rental car surcharge for buses and not for road building. Unfortunately, Governor Bush vetoed that measure, so we're back trying to convince the legislature to give us some additional tools to create dedicated funding.
Thank you, Mr. Mulvaney.
Like you people here tonight, I come from a country originally which everybody relied on public transport system. The public transport system Lynx we run here in town today is probably about 15, 20 years behind. I think we should look at possibly running smaller buses on some of the routes. I think we need to run more buses and cut down the amount of time you're sitting on a bus to get from A to B. Because a lot of these buses, they go around the back streets of Orlando, and if you were to get on a bus downtown, it would probably take you an hour and 20 minutes to get to the airport. And that's unacceptable to anybody. And when we talk about public transportation, we talk about the limo system downtown, which is a free bus service. I think, downtown is not that big, you can't walk around if you had to. And I think we should concentrate more on the service out in the suburbs and not downtown, looking at giving free transportation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mulvaney. And we have more questions that are going to be asked, but I would like to let folks know that they have been following the rules to the T. So vamos a darle un aplauso para los caballeros aquí. Han estado tremendo. Muchas gracias. We appreciate folks following the rules here. No personal attacks. We want to know what each one of you want to do, and you're saying that, and we really appreciate it. Next question is by Ms. Isa Montalvo, La Prensa.
Thank you. We all know that Mayor Dyer was the first mayor to appoint Hispanic as a chief of staff, and we also know that he recently appointed another Hispanic to lead one of his offices. But Puerto Ricans and Hispanics make up 25.4% of the population of the city of Orlando, but they make up a far less percentage of the city employees. What do you plan to do or to make the city government more representative of the city's population?
Thank you. Mr. Mulvaney?
Well, we live in I think, a very diverse city. We have people live here today from probably practically all over the world. It's a wonderful city, great city to live in. And I would encourage anybody from any nationality or any group to get involved in the city, get involved in the politics downtown, and get personally involved in what's going on. I mean, to get people to where they need to be in the working, you need to reach out to people and bring them into the city and start working with the locals and the residents. And then I think we'll have a better city and a more diverse city, and not shut people out from achieving what they can working for the city of Orlando. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dyer?
The Latino population in the city of Orlando is 25% now, and it continues to be the largest growing ethnic group within our community. And I want our workforce and our appointees and our boards to be reflective of exactly that. A lot of the Hispanic community is obviously newer to our community, so the growth in the workplace has not mirrored exactly the growth there, but it is my goal to have it mirror. I've had the first Hispanic city clerk, first chief of staff, first district chief in both the police department and the fire department. Recently we created a director of multicultural affairs. One of the other areas that we have worked on and haven't had an opportunity to talk about tonight is our OLA office. The OLA office was created specifically, and I don't think there is another one in the state of Florida or anywhere in the country for that matter, to help welcome Hispanics to our community and match them up with services, let them know that they're welcome here in the community, and it has been an overwhelming success.
Thank you. Mr. Diamond?
Thank you. I think there are several things that can be done and should be done, and also I'd like to tell you just in my district, District 1, I think our Hispanic population is probably a little closer to 38%, and it's about 25 or 26 in the city as a whole. What have I done? Well, I can tell you, first of all, that the individual that I appointed to be the liaison between the Orlando Police Department and District 1 is a Hispanic officer. I'm very proud of the job he does. I also appointed a Hispanic person to the city's redistricting advisory committee. I thought he did a terrific job. As mayor, I will always be looking to get a diverse group of people, especially trying to get people who may not have been some of the same familiar faces that I think we tend to see sometimes. I would also, as mayor, continue the principles of the blueprint of trying to get people involved, trying to make sure that we can have a diverse workforce. I think that's a good thing. I also think that it's important to make a personal effort to do that. One thing I would do is we're going to have Mayor's Nights Out, where I will go with senior staff. I'll also invite people from Orange County and the school board, and try to engage the community in issues that concern them. And last of all, I think it's important to make sure we make an effort to listen to what the community has to say, listen to their ideas, and try to do as much as we can that way.
Thank you. Mr. Canton?
The reason I call Orlando home is because of the diversity. It's what makes us, the city, beautiful. Our differences, our diversity, the fact that we embrace this and celebrate it is what makes us a world-class city. But it does not reflect the community, as you pointed out with your numbers. And I've been the only candidate from day one that has said that all of my appointments will reflect the diverse population that we have. This is also the reason why you see so few people engaged directly in our political process. I want to make sure that every child, no matter what their background is, no matter where they live in the city, or whether they're black, Hispanic, white, I want them to envision that they can grow up to be anything they want in this city, and that they can stay here and have all of the potential possible. The way to do that is not simply by anointing titles to a few community leaders, but truly putting a grassroots path down to engage the community, to empower our local neighborhoods to come up with their own solutions, instead of always coming from City Hall. And on the note of the OLA office, I'd like to point out that it's not actually located in the heart of the Hispanic community. What I would like to do as mayor is bring these resources directly into our communities, into our neighborhoods, so that in addition to youth engagement plans, after-school programs where you don't have to go downtown, you stay right in your corridor, the power will be back with the parents, the homeowners, and the residents, and they can start to rebuild their community together.
Thank you. From Telemundo, Mr. Machuca, your question.
Thank you. This question comes from our account from Twitter. It's one of the audience. I know it's a federal issue, but Pedro Aristizabal wants to know what is your position about the DREAM Act?
Okay, we will start this end. We're staying in order. And the question is, what is your position? Even though he knows it's a federal act, what is your position on the
Well, again, I think this is a very important question, especially for the community in Orlando, because one of my students and who I serve as a mentor for, Sebastian Sanchez, a student at Rollins College, has been very outspoken on the DREAM Act, and I believe our leadership must continue to push for the passage of the DREAM Act to remove discrimination at every level. This is not just a federal issue. I would work hand in hand with local, state, and federal officials to make sure we are pushing this issue to the forefront. I honestly believe that the DREAM Act should have been passed already. I think we've seen a failure of leadership, an absence of leadership from anyone locally, really standing up and taking this issue directly to the people. And that's what it's going to take, because we live in modern times, and I think that this issue specifically is why we need a generational leadership change here in Orlando. I'm the only candidate who can begin to break down these barriers, engage the community, and raise their voices together on this issue and many more, so that we can solidify our community here, call it home, and be one and equal with each other.
Thank you. Mr. Donner, what are your thoughts on the DREAM Act?
Thank you. I'm also against discrimination, and I think that's something that is wrong. As far as how you address it, I think we need to focus on what we can do locally to deal with discrimination, getting people involved, making sure we enforce the rules we have. As far as the DREAM Act, I think that's something that Congress has to deal with, for better or worse. But I think we need to continue to make a commitment to be fair, to be inclusive, to try to involve the entire community, and focus on what we can do rather than focusing on something that we really have no control over.
Mr. Dyer?
While I agree we have no control over it, I will say that I'm unequivocally supportive of the DREAM Act. And then beyond that, in terms of our city, I think that we are a city that embraces diversity and fairness, which is what the DREAM Act is about. We embrace tolerance. We're, I think, the true melting pot in the country. Now people want to come to Orlando. I'm guessing, let me ask this question. How many of you were born in Orlando? Okay, not so many, right? About 4 or 5, but everybody else has moved here to Orlando because you want to live here in Orlando, because this is the best place in America to live, work, and raise a family, and we want to make sure that it continues to be so.
Thank you. Mr. Mulvaney?
As the other candidates have said, this is an issue which is on the federal mandate up in Washington, but as an immigrant to this country, I believe in being fair and equal opportunity for everybody who comes to the United States. And as for our immigration policies do need to be tweaked up, and I look forward to, not myself, I'm not going to be able to do this, but I hope that the federal government do move ahead and put this issue to bed, which has been dragging on election after election over the last 12, maybe 15 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Now this comes to our last part, which is the opportunity where we get to hear some closing remarks. We want to thank Univision, we want to thank La Prensa, and we want to thank Telemundo. They did an incredible job. Thank you so much. Very, very good questions. And we would like to be able to start with you, Mr. Canton. And before we do close, I would advise you gentlemen dearly to try some of the delicious food that La Casa Puerto Rico has. And they work so hard and with lots of love. So gentlemen, if you'd be so kind to just be able to give your closing remarks, 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
Right, and thank you all again for this forum. This caps off a series of debates and forums all over the community. And again, as an organizer, this is what I live for. This is why I'm in this business, why I'm in politics. It's my passion, is working directly with the people, hearing these questions and coming up with these solutions. And again, I'd like to just invite you all to mikecantone.com/Espanol, where you will begin to see my platform in Spanish. We'll be adding to that over the next 2 weeks ahead of Election Day. But I also want to encourage you that this is not the last step. I invite you on April 3rd to take that next step with all of us. To put our community first, we need to elect new leaders who believe in this community, who work directly in this community, and who will engage everyone to be part of the solution moving forward. And I'm glad that you did frame this debate about the future, because after a decade, we know what the status quo is. We know who it benefits and who it does not. And enough is enough. It's time to put the people first. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Diamond?
Thank you. Well, you mentioned food, and at the beginning of this, you asked who likes beans and rice, and I would say I am definitely one of those, so I appreciate that. And I'll tell you what I really appreciate, and that is seeing not just the number of people here tonight, and even people are coming in almost as we speak, but just the fact that we've got a lot of new faces here. I've seen a lot of old friends, but it's great to see a lot of new faces, and that's what my administration is going to be about. Making sure we continue to work with the people that have been in the city, that have been involved, but also getting people involved that haven't been involved. I think everybody has gifts, everybody has resources that they can bring to the city, and I think we need to make a better effort of doing that. When I think about the kind of community and the kind of city I want my children to grow up in, I think about a city with great neighborhoods. I think about a city where my kids don't have to leave Orlando to get a great job. I think about a city that is operated more fiscally responsibly, with more openness in government, a city that provides opportunity for all. So I also would humbly ask for your vote and your support, and please remember to vote on April 3rd. Thank you.
I first want to thank all the sponsoring organizations for hosting this tonight. I think there's been more energy and enthusiasm in this forum than in any that we've had, and I certainly appreciate that. I sometimes get asked what experience best suited you to be the mayor of Orlando, and some of you may know that I grew up in Kissimmee, and my dad was a long-haul cattle truck driver. So at the end of a trip, you know what cows do when they're being hauled, right? They poop. So somebody has to shovel the manure out of the trailer. So that was my job growing up, and that prepared me pretty well for life in politics. That's not actually the right one, but the real answer is my experience as a father of two fine young men who, when I make a decision about what we need to do in Orlando, I think about Trey and Drew and all of the children here in Orlando. And I do want to have a city that is a place that they can live and work and they want to come back to if they go away to school somewhere, or if they stay here their entire life, that does have, I'll agree with Commissioner Diamond on something, that has great neighborhoods, diverse, distinctive neighborhoods, that embraces the diversity, the multicultural diversity that has become our community, and that they're proud to call home, as proud as I am to call Orlando home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. Mr. Mulvaney?
I'd like to thank everybody who's shown up here tonight. It's been a great evening. I'd like to thank the other candidates. And as you know, the election's April 3rd. One of us sitting up on the stage tonight, hopefully myself, will be your new mayor come the 1st of June. I would like to say that I will look forward to, if elected mayor, working hard with the 6 districts around Orlando, working with the communities and working with the people out there, increasing the quality of life and making the neighbourhoods a lot better and a lot safer for our citizens. I would like to work hard on our Orange County school systems within the city of Orlando, on promoting education for our children and jobs and careers going into the future. And I would also look forward to working with not just big businesses in Orlando, small and big businesses. Because I think a community working together is what's going to make this a great city. And I think going out there and working with the community, with the residents and with the businesses is going to make us a fantastic city. And I look forward to working with the citizens of Orlando if I get your vote on April the 3rd. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias a todos y especialmente a la Casa de Puerto Rico. And I would like to be able to give the mic now to our president, Mr. Ramon Ojeda, and to thank the Hispanic Chamber for everything that they've done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie, and thank you all. What a great exercise we've just done here tonight. Qué buen ejercicio. We have just done an exercise in democracy, and we know this is important in our community. Let's just give this gentleman a big round of applause for what they just did tonight. Thank you. And I just want to take this opportunity to once again thank our partners. What we are proud of is to really work in partnerships and to establish collaboration opportunities. That's what we have done here tonight with our La Casa de Puerto Rico, with HAPWA, with Trabajando Juntos, with the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce of Central Florida, and also with Naleo Educational Fund. I am proud to bring this event and work together with all these folks to bring this event tonight to you. We want to thank our media panelists. As always, you guys do great in our community. Every now and then I get the opportunity to see you live, and this is awesome. Thank you so much for being with us tonight and for asking these clever questions to our panel. Last but not least, I want to invite you to stay around. If you want to take a picture with our candidates, if you want to ask them questions, hopefully you'll stay for a little longer answering questions to the community, to the folks in our community. And remember, kitchen is open. Let's support Casa de Puerto Rico and thank them for what they're doing. And la comida está rica. It's very tasteful. I'm looking forward to try some myself. And water and drinks are still available. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Una cosa más, Janita, gracias. On your way out, our sponsor for the evening, Orlando Health, who has done a great job supporting this event tonight, they're giving away this very nice and convenient first aid kits. If you want to take one or two on your way out, please do so, because these are very handy when you're especially driving in your car, and put it on your purse if you're a lady. Gracias, buenas noches y bienvenidos. Se pueden quedar un ratito más. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros.